Chief here, and I have another thought. Today, I was thinking about the ancients, and the ancients in terms of the people who, came before us, whose lines that we still live today, but were, disrupted by the Most High's will, disrupted by the white supremacists and colonization. Colonization. But anyway, so why I wanted to do that, why I was thinking about this is because the definitions that we're arguing today, like today we think we're better than the ancients. We think we're so smart. We think we're so much better than them when we can't even figure out now, I mean, most of us know what the definition of a woman is. We don't even know, all the definitions are being upended, and we supposedly think we're better than the ancients when they just had it figured out. They're like, hey, this is what's supposed to happen. This is the family structure. This is how society should be ordered. And I'm not saying that they were perfect. Of course they weren't, because no society is perfect. But at least they had a better understanding of hey, we need to have some type of order to make sure that our society is as good or as viable as possible. But one thing I wanted to talk about also is the racial component and how the white supremacists said, hey, you guys all have the same skin color, so you guys are all the same. Or all white folks are the same because they're all supposedly white. Or all Asians are the same because they're Asians. And even these terms like white, black are terms that were invented. Well, black, we've been calling ourselves blacks and niggers for a long time. But the white folks have bastardized everything to make their categories to stratify society, with them at the top always. But the one thing I wanted to prove, how we were always different, and how we should not look at each other as, and necessarily, especially black folks, and I think a lot of us are getting that, especially we're B1, Black First, and Foundational Black Americans. We're starting to understand that they are tribal differences that we necessarily have to recognize. And Herodotus. Herodotus, I'm reading the histories now, and I just wanted to outline how Herodotus broke down. If you read Herodotus, it's really hard to follow because he's the Lycians and the fucking Aeolians, and then he's fucking talking about the Babylonians and the fucking the Ethiopians. He's talking about all these different tribes, and it's oh shit, you're bouncing all over the fucking place. But he does break down how a lot of these tribes break down, and how they lose power in certain regions, and he talks about the Medes and fucking the Persians. He uses this translation though. I always get these Oxford ones because they're supposedly be the best translations. But a lot of times they add all these weird ass terms like Eurasian and all these shits that don't exist in history. But the white supremacists have to somehow interject themselves in the history, even though they are no part of the history whatsoever. And they put in terms like Arab and all this shit that actually absolutely don't have any explanation. They try to make it seem like Arab is this group of people who just existed on their own, when they're just really a mix of a lot of different groups because of the past time. They didn't call it colonization back then, but it's similar concept where other groups were taking over other groups. But I just want to read this from Herodotus in book 1, just to outline how different people were. And also this is outlines the 12 tribes, I believe, because a lot of those ancient Greek groups and a lot of the groups all over the Mediterranean and the Peloponnesus and all those shits, they always had 12. Why did they always have 12? 12 different groups in their region. Why 12? 12 tribes of Judah? I don't know. But this is from Herodotus, the histories. These are the 12 divisions of the present day Achaeans. And they were formerly the 12 divisions of the Ionians. And the Ionians didn't want to be called Ionians because it became a derogatory nation, I guess. It's just all these black people who are gay and You know, all these other mixed niggas like me, they always be like, you know, I ain't really black. Because black has such a negative connotation in society when we should be the most proud people in the society because we built it. We're the strongest. We're the ones who are persisting. So we should automatically have be proud of being called black. And we were calling each other black even before the white supremacists. They just turned what we were using, the language we were using, into a negative, into derogatory terms. But let me go. These are the 12 divisions of the present day Achaeans, and they were formerly the 12 divisions of the Ionians, which is why the Ionians created 12 settlements. It is sheer stupidity to say that they did so because they are somehow more Ionian than the rest of the Ionians, or have a nobler origin than the others. In the first place, a not insignificant proportion of the citizens of the 12 communities are Abantians and Euboa, Armenians and Archaemenes and Cadmeans and Dyropians and Phocian and expatriates, Melosians, Pelagians from Arcadia, Dorians from Epidaurus. A lot of the Greeks were Dorian Greeks. So when white supremacists try to say that Greece was originally some white land, they're on some other shit, and they're only talking about Hellenistic Greece from Alexander the Macedonian. And even then, that's why the Macedonians and Alexander the Greek promoted supposed interracial. He wanted the Macedonians, and there were a lot of black Macedonians. He wanted the Macedonians, the white Macedonians, to intermarry and intermix with the Dorian Greeks and a lot of other black Greek tribes, because he wanted to breed out the black race, just like the Spanish wanted to do, and just like the Portuguese wanted to do, at the exception of slavery, the modern day slavery that we know, and what we knew, like black and slavery is supposed to be synonymous nowadays, or black and slave, actually, I'm sorry. And where am I at? Dorians from Epidaurus and a number of other peoples. As for those who came from the town hall of Athens and who consider themselves to be the noblest Ionians, well, they did not bring wives with them on their voyage of colonization, but murdered some Carians and took their daughters to be their wives. You know, people have been doing that for centuries, forever. You know, they murder all the men, or they go into a town, an army of men, and they murder all the men and then take the women as their wives, or, you know, because the seed is what determines, you know, the legacy or the lineage of the child. Well, they did not bring their wives, their voyage of colonization, but murdered some Carians and took their daughters to be their wives. It is because of this massacre that the women made it a rule they bound themselves to by oaths and passed on from mother to daughter, never to share a meal with their husbands and never to call out to them by name. These were, after all, the men who had gained them as their wives by murdering their fathers, husbands, and children. These events took place in Miletus. I mean, that's just the outline, like, you know, how different we are and how the ancients had a different understanding of who we are as people, how we are so distinct, and that you can't categorize us wholly by race, by the white supremacists who are involved in associationism and behaviorism. That these were the you know, the pretext for evolution, where they decided, like, hey, you know, and eugenics. Well, we decided, like, oh, all these people look the same, so they're all are technically one group, when actually that is fucking so fallacious. You know, and they man, these white supremacists, these people nowadays can't even, you know, they're arguing with each other, and it's like, it's crazy, because like they use Black Lives Matter, and they always try to use these black funkies as their front people. But it's really just white people arguing about white people about dumb white shit that they invented, you know? And then they just try to use us and try to pull us into their stupid ass shit, when most black folks is like, man, that's some dumb shit. We ain't paying attention to that stupid ass bullshit that you motherfuckers is talking about all the goddamn time. All this, like, just ridiculousness that they just try to outsmart themselves all the time. And that's why they think that they're smarter than the ancients, who already figured out most of the shit that's going on in society, but We just somehow, the white supremacists always think they're smarter than everybody. Just like with this medical tyranny going on. They think that they're smarter than everybody. They think that there weren't diseases for centuries, where even back in the day, like even Ovid and a lot of the other ancient poets, they talk about macrobia, or the macrobian fount. I talk about that in my book, where they were talking about basically Somalia and Ethiopia, current day Somalia and Ethiopia, how they lived to be hundreds of years old. Not hundreds, but like 120, 125, 105. How they were the tallest and most beautiful people in the world. But the white supremacists who came because they were so jealous, because they weren't a part of ancient history, and they realized on their age of exploration, so-called age of exploration, they tried to search the earth for people who looked like them, and they couldn't find it nowhere, so they had to necessarily interject themselves in all histories, either by colonialization or by making shit up, or by interjecting themselves into different histories, where they absolutely were nowhere near any of this shit. Everything in Herodotus, they may allude to, what is it, Mount Ida. I don't even, no, he don't mention that shit in there. He don't mention, he does mention the Caucasus Mountains, I'm sorry. But that's where these motherfuckers were. And they're liars, so they bastardize history, and then they're liars, and they think they're so much smarter than everybody in history based on their eugenics and their phrenology, which they just call by different names nowadays, that they think they're just better than the ancients, our people, black folks who already figured out all this shit. So they had to interject themselves in the history to try to figure out other shit, when really all they're doing is killing themselves. Do not deny the ancients. I implore all people to start reading the ancients and start understanding that they figured out the world way before we ever could, and it's fucking arrogant as hell for us to shit on them and act like we know better than them. And I mean, and that's actually takes me to the scriptures, how the scriptures, the Bible outlines everything so clearly, like how we should behave in society. That's why this whole Western world is built upon the moralization, or not necessarily, I wouldn't say moralization of the Bible, but the moral, or the mores of the scriptures. It's built upon that morality, because those demons, and the demons throughout history, which even though I will not say they're just only white, there's a lot of demons of all races, even the black race. Like, you know, we were doing some crazy ass shit back then, you know. So I'm not gonna, you know, just cast dispersions on one group. But at the same time, the current group that's in power, who tries to deny it, you know, they don't shit on the ancients, period, and don't allow the white supremacists to act like they're more intelligent than everybody, when really, if you can tell about the conversations that they're having now, they're actually moronic and are just engaging in pure stupidity. That's my thought of the day. Chief again, and I would like to thank you for listening to my inane pontificating. Please like and subscribe to Bad Thoughts Publishing Company on YouTube. Thank you so much.